Yeah, let's.
I think we need to adjust this. Hi,
Ah,
everyone. Good morning. Well, actually, good afternoon. It's 1 o'clock in Tel Aviv, and I'm here today with Ilana Hart. She is a culinary nutrition expert, and she's going to be talking to us about the power of veggies to restore our body, 8 to 10 cups a day, sugar, carbs, oils, and fats, and even dairy, which I know is a very controversial subject. So all the questions that everybody's been posting about how much and why are what are we supposed to be eating in addition to the veggies? So we're going to be talking to Ilana about that today, as well as answering some questions that some of the members had asked about hormonal imbalance and a few other things. So let's get started. So hi, Ilana.
Hello.
I'm so happy to have you here. It's very exciting. Ilana was one of the first, actually you were the first nutrition expert to join the group. So thank you for that. So tell us, you have a focus on women's health, right? So what made you get into nutrition? Let's just get a little bit of background.
okay, I'll try and give you kind of like the abbreviated story. So when I was pregnant, I had gestational diabetes. And even though I thought I ate very healthy before that, it was like a whole mindset shift of having to suddenly like change my diet. And I didn't have the option to like not do it or to just say, oh, well, I'm not motivated now, like it has an impact on me, on the growing baby. So I had to change everything up while I was pregnant and manage my gestational diabetes. And luckily I was able to manage it through diet and not have to take medications. 2 years later, I was pregnant again with my second daughter. I still, again, had gestational diabetes, again, had to manage it. And one of the things that obviously, well, maybe not obviously, one of the things that's sort of like a free food when you have gestational diabetes is vegetables. You can pretty much eat as much as you want.
Interesting. It seems like they're free for everybody, right? It's not just for you. They were free for me on every diet I've been on.
Exactly, on different dietary protocols. Vegetables, aside from like starchy vegetables, like sweet potatoes and beets, yeah, that's like a free food. And when you're like a really hungry pregnant lady and you're just trying to like satisfy your hunger, I at least could take comfort knowing that I could like dive into all my vegetables and not have to worry about it or feel guilty or feel worried that something's going to happen to me eating vegetables. But basically, just to make a long story short, I still felt like I didn't have enough knowledge about nutrition and about like the science behind it and how to get my blood sugars balanced. And I know lots of women have different hormonal imbalances and lots of women have gestational diabetes. And I felt even in the system, in the medical system here, there was not good advice on it, and so I was just really motivated to learn more about it. So after having my second child, I actually decided not to go back to my job in high tech where I was previously working, and I decided to study nutrition, and then from there to dive into women's health specifically and into all sorts of like hormonal balance issues.
Wow, that's really interesting. So basically you were feeling like this information on women's health wasn't readily available to you, and so you like wanted to dive in further, not only for your own knowledge but to share it with other women.
Yeah, exactly.
That's amazing. So why do you think there's such a lack of accessible info on women's health today for women? Like why are there so many diets out there and nobody knows like what's right and what's wrong?
I don't think there's a lack of info. I think there's too much info, too many conflicting theories,
sure,
and different people are saying different things, and I think women are just getting confused and don't know what to do, and so everyone's just trying different diets and different whatevers, and I think different dietary protocols might work better for different people. Everyone's an individual, everyone's body reacts differently, and so when I work specifically with individuals, like I have to tailor something specifically to them, but I think there's just too much information coming in from all sides, so I think it's just causing confusion, and then all these sorts of trends. I'm so not into all these like trendy diets or trendy superfoods, like eat this and like you'll be totally healthy. And I just think I think we just have to simplify it.
Right. So, okay. Well, so as you know, like the theme of the Sex Up Your Veg lifestyle is that the power of veggies to restore our body to its natural weight is unlike anything else that exists on this planet. So can you talk to us about why veggies are so restorative and healing for our bodies?
Yeah. So what I love about your group is that the focus on vegetables, I think, is just spot on. And I'm just going to say that I am not a weight loss coach, okay? So I don't focus on weight loss. I don't specifically take on weight loss clients unless I think it might be tied like to a hormonal imbalance issue. However, vegetables are really, really powerful, as are other plant-based foods. First of all, we've got all these different phytonutrients, all the vitamins and the minerals that our body needs to function optimally in our vegetables. And we've got all sorts of phytochemicals, plant-based chemicals that are good for you and that help your cells stay healthy and help ward off disease, again, found in our vegetables and other plant-based foods. And of course, we have something really important in vegetables, which is fiber. Mm-hmm. And fiber is important for various reasons. First of all, it helps to slow down the passage of food, which really gives our body the chance to absorb the nutrients properly. It also, when we eat fiber-rich foods, it keeps us fuller for longer and more satiated. And also, what fiber does is that it kind of binds up things that are not good. If we have toxins in our system, if we have excess hormones, it like binds up these bad bits that are inside of us, and then we eliminate them when we go to the bathroom. So fiber is just super important, and of course, vegetables are an amazing source of fiber. So those are just like a few reasons why vegetables are just so powerful for the body.
So as you know, I believe that women who want to lose, unwanted weight and maintain it, the best way for them to do that is to eat between 8 to 10 cups a day of veg, right? Mm-hmm. And one of the reasons that I believe that that's the best way is because we fill ourselves up with all the goodness, and of course we make it delicious, right? So we're satisfied, but then we're also like not leaving room for the processed food, which we might go to after if we didn't feel satisfied after our meal. So as a culinary nutrition expert, I'd love to know, like, how many cups a day of veg are you eating a day?
Yeah, so that's a good question. I never in my life have measured.
And by the way, never have I as well.
Measured my vegetables. I'm actually like, as someone who works around food and nutrition, I don't think I've ever counted calories, even when I was trying to lose weight at certain points. Like, I never measure. When I try and follow a recipe, like, it's horrible. I just feel like it just like stunts the creative process of making food. I'm like, oh, a cup of this. Like, I hate following a recipe, so I'm just bad at it.
I just throw things that I never
this,
measure.
A little bit of this, a little taste, see if it's good. So yeah, so I don't measure veggies, but we spoke a few days ago, and just to sort of challenge myself, I just kind of tried to eyeball it to like figure out, am I eating 8 to 10 cups, maybe less, maybe more. Like, I think that day we spoke, I think I ate 7 or 8 cups of veggies, and just like
7 or 8
naturally in what I'm eating.
Wow.
So
I think that's fascinating, because really, I mean, the fact that like so that's the the backstory behind Sex Up Your Veg is that I never measured it either. When when I wanted to help Judith with her weight loss, I said to her, just eat tons of veggies, supersize everything. The same way that in a restaurant, I said to her, the plates are supersized with rice or pasta, and then they put a small piece of protein and a side of veggies. I said, make the carbs the rice or the pasta the veggies, and then put the small amounts of everything else around it. So only when I was like, when she like finally came to me and said, well, how much veg am I exactly supposed to eat? Mm-hmm. I started to eyeball my food and say, oh, wow, I'm eating between like 8 to 10 cups of veg a day. Like, and I don't even think I reached 10. Like, I think, I'm around 8, but I would imagine that there's other women out there, who are different sizes, maybe taller than me, who would need more than 8. So
yeah, and I mean,
that's how I got to the 8 to 10 cups.
And I mean, I love eating veggies,
so
and I feel like they're so tasty, and especially like I order my veggies from like a local farm. Like, they literally pick them the morning of. Like, they taste good, and they're fresh, and I don't mind snacking on them or having them in a meal. And like, if you ever came to my house during dinner time, I have 2 small kids. They're 4.5 and 2.5. I literally like our whole meal is like just around veggies.
That's amazing.
But it's kind of because I'm lazy, and kind of because like my 2 daughters, like, one will like this, this food a bit more, one likes this food a bit more. So I just don't like combining things. I'm just like, okay, I'm just gonna like 5 different like roasted vegetables, and like 5 different like regular vegetables, and then we'll put like some eggs or whatever, and just let them pick what they want.
But that, I mean,
So
you know,
it's like
I remember
some
when
bowls of veggies around the table.
when we first spoke on the phone, like you actually said to me that before you offer your kids anything else, you offer them 3 different types of veggies, right? Like
Yeah.
that's amazing. Like I think people need to know like how important veggies are, not just for us, but also for our kids.
Yeah, for sure. And like I can, when I'm eating something, they want to mimic what I'm doing and try it, or we just play little games and like, just to get them to like taste something new or just to expose them. Like that's actually one of the big things, just exposing your kids to these different vegetables. Whether I could put out like beets on the table for like 2 weeks, and maybe my younger daughter will eat it, my older daughter won't. But maybe like after 2 weeks, my older daughter like will try it.
Right,
it's just
right,
like
right. Yeah, it's a
seeing
matter of
it,
time.
seeing people are eating it, and then eventually.
Okay, so a lot of people in the group deal with sugar and carb cravings, which is fair enough. Like if, in the beginning, before I started to, even when I started to implement it, it took a few days until all of my sugar and carb cravings disappeared. And when I say carbs, by the way, I'm referring to specifically like the unhealthy carbs, not like the good, like the happy carbs, I like to call them, like sweet potato, quinoa, wild rice, all of those like good stuff. So talk to us about like why are we craving these things, and how is sugar related to carbs, and why is it so addicting?
Okay, so this is really where blood sugar balance comes into play, and this is sort of only what I really learned about after having gestational diabetes, which is a sort of blood sugar imbalance and not being able to tolerate carbohydrates. Then when I finally learned about it and really understood, it just made so much more sense to me. So basically what happens is that when you eat, processed foods, refined carbohydrates, sugars, like pastries, white bread, any sort of junk foods, basically it releases a lot of glucose into your bloodstream. Glucose is also synonymous with sugar. The body sees it as sugar. And you get a really large sugar spike because a lot came in. So then the body has to release insulin to help shuttle that sugar from the bloodstream into the cells. So the body releases too much insulin because there's so much sugar that you just put into your body really quickly. And then you get this like crash. So the insulin comes and like gets the sugar out of the bloodstream, but then you basically become hypoglycemic, like your blood sugar levels are too low. So then what happens is that you actually start craving more sugary foods, more refined carbohydrates, because they give a quick release of energy. And you're like, okay, I need like another energy boost. And then you're just kind of on this like blood sugar roller coaster. You're just going up and down all day long, and you can't quite get back into balance. So when you eat complex carbohydrates and vegetables and other plant foods that have fiber in them, it slows down the release of energy in the body. It releases it slowly, and your body doesn't get all confused and stressed out.
Wow.
And doesn't create these peaks and dips that keep going throughout the day.
Yeah.
So basically, when you're eating processed foods and refined carbohydrates, you're just like fueling this imbalance and fueling more cravings. And of course, I'm sure many people have gone through this hypoglycemic dip where you're suddenly very cranky and you got brain fog and you're craving coffee and you want sweets. Like we've all had it, and it's an indication your body is not in balance with its blood sugars.
Interesting. I know a lot of people tend to have that craving, I think, around like after lunchtime, right? Like they want that something sweet. So what would you tell people to have, like instead of going for the sugar or that unhealthy carb, what should they be eating?
So
or snacking on, right?
Yeah. So what's important, first of all, is to realize that the picture of like how you're feeling throughout the day reflects how your day starts and how it continues, and then how you get to the evening and how you're sleeping. Like it all works together. So first of all, I have to say like breakfast is really important, and in fact, your breakfast should not. Forget even like the processed carbohydrates, but if we're talking about like the different macronutrients, carbohydrates and fats and protein, you want to be eating like protein and some healthy fats in the morning, and some good carbohydrates, but you don't want to be eating like cereal and milk and that stuff, which is just basically like a huge rush of sugar into your body. And one way to balance out blood sugars throughout the day, whether it's during your meals or during your snacks, is to always pair any carbohydrate with a bit of fat and some healthy protein as well.
Mm-hmm.
That helps to slow down how the carbohydrate is processed in the body.
Could you give us an example?
So let's say you have like a large salad. You make a nice dressing with olive oil and lemon and trena and some salt, and you've got your fat, and trena has some protein also, and maybe like I have an egg on it.
Right. Yeah, that's what I do for lunch almost every day. Like I have my egg, I have my trena, I even have quinoa like with my lunch.
Yeah, so that helps to kind of create a balanced meal. And part of the way to get over cravings is to stabilize your blood sugars over time. That's one thing to keep in mind. The other thing that could be happening, if you're having a sugar craving, like just to eat something that is going to be more balanced. So, maybe you want chocolate, so maybe you're going to eat like dark chocolate, like 85%, and like a handful of nuts.
Right.
So you're eating something that is sweet, does have a bit of sugar in it, but then you eat the nuts, and they work together with the carbohydrates to kind of slow down how it's processed.
Or even the combination of fruit and nuts is supposed to be
even
really good,
fruit,
right?
Which is a whole food and has the fiber, but still, it is a bit high in sugar. So to eat always like a handful of nuts with it also slows down how it's absorbed in the body.
Right.
But over time, like once you got your blood sugars in balance, and I found this on myself also, you don't have the cravings anymore.
So isn't that interesting? Like I don't crave, I swear, and this sounds nuts, but I go out, I was with, on Friday night dinner, we went to a sushi restaurant, and then we went for ice cream. That's like our thing. We always go for ice cream for the kids after, whenever we go out to eat on a Friday night. And I'm sitting there, and I'm looking at them eating the ice cream, and it doesn't affect me. I have no interest in the ice cream. I don't want to take a bite, and I used to never be able to do that. Like I used to look at their ice cream, take too big of a bite, right? Because I was addicted to the sugar. But now I'm not addicted anymore, and so I just don't have any more cravings for it, which I'm so grateful for, because I feel like I've taken back my mind and taken back my body. Like I no longer let the sugar like run my mind.
Exactly,
anymore.
like exactly what you're saying. Like your body just doesn't feel like it needs it anymore. And the other interesting thing about vegetables specifically is that sometimes when you have a sugar craving, it can actually indicate that you have a bit of a mineral deficiency. So once you start fueling your body with so many more vitamins and minerals from your vegetables, that is actually going to help counteract that sort of feeling of, sugar cravings.
Yeah.
And I know there was somebody, I think, in the group who was asking like about PMS or whatever, like specifically right before then. Yeah. So like here's just like a small trick. If you really want like a really fast hit of like a lot of minerals to just kind of offset those sugar cravings, you could, for instance, eat sea vegetables like seaweeds. Put them on a salad, put them in a soup, and they're just very rich in minerals. That might help satisfy and kind of alleviate sugar craving.
Okay. I know for me, ever since I like eliminated sugar and those unhealthy carbs from my diet, I feel a sense of freedom that like I've never felt it like that kind of freedom before. So I really recommend everybody like try it out, because when you do eat 8 to 10 cups a day of veg, there's really less room for that kind of stuff. And when you're able to eliminate it from your diet, you really just stop having those cravings anymore. And it's so much better to live life, I think, without like feeling that kind of, constantly, you go to a party and you're looking at the cakes and you're like, oh my God, I don't know what to do. Like I look at the cakes and I'm like, great, there's watermelon. Right? Okay, so let's talk about oils and fats. What's healthy and what's not?
Okay, so first of all, just to talk about oils and fats, and why we need them, because I know a lot of women think that by eating fats they're going to get fat and they were related. It's just not true. Because again, when you eat fats, it gives you this sort of like slow burning, long lasting energy. Whereas if you're eating processed carbohydrates that release all the energy really quickly, that's what gets stored in your fat cells. Right. It's like, oh, I need to store this for later because I want to have energy for later, so I'm going to store it. And like that's the carbohydrates that are, they're refined carbohydrates. That's what gets stored in your fat cells, not actually eating healthy fats. But again, it's really important to eat the healthy kind of fats, because this is what fuels your nervous system, what gives you energy, what helps your hormone metabolism, and some of the vitamins in our food are actually fat-soluble vitamins, meaning that without having the fats with them, you won't properly absorb them. Like vitamin D, vitamin A, just as some examples. So you need to have the fats with them to help you absorb those vitamins. So in terms of what actual fats to use, I've got a few categories. It depends on kind of what you're making.
Right.
So when I cook on higher heats, one of my go-tos is coconut oil. It is a saturated fat, but that just means that it holds its structure in high heat, so it's not going to degrade as you're cooking with it. And it's like a natural oil. Avocado oil is also a good one to cook with. It also holds its structure at higher heats, so it's not going to degrade. Those are like kind of my go-to cooking oils.
And grapeseed oil, right?
I don't actually use grapeseed oil.
Oh, okay. I was recommended by a nutritionist grapeseed oil.
I was once recommended by a nutritionist grapeseed oil. A lot of nutritionists seem to say like it's the thing. I'll come back to grapeseed oil in 1 second. I'll just go through the rest. Olive oil is amazing. It's like got super anti-inflammatory properties. It's good for like light cooking, like sautéing and like putting on salads. And also obviously like avocados are good. Eating nuts and seeds and adding those to your salads. And then we have the.
I just want to say one thing because I was about olive oil. I've always heard that you're not supposed to use olive oil on a high fire.
On high fire,
right.
Correct.
Okay,
Do
perfect.
not use it on a high fire.
Before I knew that, like years ago, I was cooking all my food in olive oil on a high fire.
Yeah.
So that was a long time ago. But I was happy to come across that information.
Yes.
I think people should know that.
Yes, if you're using a low heat, you can use olive oil. And then there are the oils that should never be heated, which are rich in omega-3s. And these are like hemp seed oil, walnut oil, chia oil. And these are really, really good for fighting inflammation in the body. But you also like need to be aware they should only be used cold, like put on your salads, put into a smoothie. You should be storing them in your fridge. They should be in a dark bottle, not exposed to oxygen and light.
Interesting.
Because these oils, if you heat them up, they actually can become toxic to your body.
What about sesame oil?
Sesame oil you can heat.
You can heat because I cook my stir fries with sesame oil.
Sesame
so
oil,
am I doing
pure natural sesame oil. That's good for cooking with as well.
Amazing. So basically, you're saying like hemp oils. Chai oils, chia. Sorry, what's the other one that you said?
Walnut oil.
Walnut oil should be stored in the fridge.
Flaxseed
oil in the fridge. Okay, I didn't know that. So I think that's really valuable information. I'm gonna start putting them in the fridge now. Thank you.
And just one other mention about the fats and grapeseed oil is just that.
We're gonna get back to that.
Grapeseed oil is like an omega-6 type of oil, and we naturally tend to eat more foods that have omega-6, and the ratio between omega-3 and omega-6 is important for helping keep down inflammation in the body. So because we just naturally have more access to omega-6 oils and foods, we want to introduce more omega-3s into our diet, which is all the last category that I mentioned. What's maybe be cold, stored cold, those like the omega-3s. Right. We want to have more of those. That is like the reason that I don't really use grapeseed oil.
Got it. Okay, so for cooking on a high fire, you recommend avocado or coconut oil?
Yeah.
Great. Amazing. So now we're going to get them to the most controversial topic, I think that's in our group, is whether we should have dairy or not, right? I've noticed there's a lot of pictures, that people want to post with dairy, and I'm feeling like, I don't eat dairy 99% of my day. I don't believe that it's healthy. If you did see Laurence's picture, of her stomach and what it looked like before she ate dairy and then after, it's on Instagram. It's really worth checking out. She looks like she's about 4 months pregnant after she ate some cottage cheese. So, now, but the reason why I'm a little bit like hesitant is because when I go out as a treat, if I have if there's a salad with some goat cheese on it, which I know is more digestible than cow's milk, then I will have it and I won't like make a big fuss, because when I go out, I want to enjoy myself and I don't restrict myself. As long as I'm still getting my 8 to 10 cups a day and I'm not eating heavily processed food. So, what do you think about dairy? I would love to hear from you.
So I am also afflicted by dairy intolerance. I denied it for so many years because I loved eating dairy, but at a certain point I had to just say, okay, I'm done with feeling like gross after eating it. And I took it out of my diet. But there's just a few things with dairy, and I think this is going to be individual. First of all, I looked it up. Like, there's a statistic that says something like in the Jewish population, 60 to 70% of people have a dairy intolerance.
60 to 70% of Jewish people have a dairy intolerance.
Apparently. day.
Wow.
So that means a lot of people have an intolerance to dairy, and it can come in different forms, which is why it's so confusing. You might be getting bloated from it, you might be getting stomach aches, or you might be just getting like congested and a little extra mucus. That's what I had. I didn't even know that was like a dairy intolerance. I just felt like my nose was sniffly, whatever, it didn't. So that's one thing to consider. Can you actually tolerate dairy? Like, first thing to consider and to investigate on yourself. The other thing to consider is if you are someone who has some sort of hormonal imbalance, I would say avoid dairy, because there are also hormones in dairy products that can throw your own hormonal balance off even more.
Interesting.
So that's another thing to consider. And the other thing I would say is that, dairy is processed. It's not a whole food. So in that sense, if you're trying to stay away from processed foods, I would say also to cut out dairy. Now, in terms of actual, like, your tolerance to dairy and things like that, if you've decided that you tolerate dairy well and it sits well with you, I think it's okay to have, like you said, okay, I go out every once in a while and I have the dairy. I don't think it's gonna have like a huge impact on you, but it's definitely not a food I recommend as like an everyday, or like my kids must drink milk, it's just
right. So then I would want to ask, because so many people have this like idea, well, dairy has so much calcium in it, right? So where am I supposed to get my calcium from if not from dairy? I think there's, we grew up, and it's the way we grew up, right? Like, I know in our generation, like, it was, milk was in the fridge, and it was obvious, like there was no alternative. And that's where it was all this idea of calcium. So where are we getting our calcium from if not from dairy?
Yeah, so there are definitely other foods you can get calcium from. Some great foods with calcium are tuna, almonds, spinach, other dark leafy greens. So there are other calcium sources, and many more other than that. Just those are the ones that kind of come to mind.
Right, amazing. Okay, I see we have one question coming in from Sarah. What about nut butters? I know I love nut butters.
I love them too.
Use them all the time. Use them in my baking for the kids. Use them, as like if I make like an almond bread or something, I put, some nut butter on that. So what, I don't know which nut butters she's talking about. Almond butter is amazing. What do you like?
I classify nut butters in the same category as nuts. As long as it's a natural nut butter without added sugars and added things into it, it's just, ground down, whatever the nut is, I support the eating of all nuts. So you can use nut butters and whatever. You can cook with them, you can eat them plain, you can spread them, you can cook, maybe should ask about the cooking part, because you're talking about like oils and stuff, so I don't know, but maybe. You can add them to cooking, you can just eat them plain, you can.
One thing I like to do with almond butter and peanut butter is to make like an Asian sauce with it.
I have good one,
and you should post it to the group.
I'm going to post, actually. I've got a really nice sauce, and I get my kids to eat it because I'm like, it's the peanut butter sauce. And I put like all this stuff into it, and like miso, and apple cider vinegar, and then peanut butter. But it's got all the good stuff, so I know.
Amazing. So yes, nut butters. We are big fans of the nut butters. Okay. So there were some member questions that we can just go through quickly. So I have one of the ladies on the group asked, I'm currently going through a major hormonal imbalance in my body, and my health has taken a turn for the worse in the past year. How does eating 8 to 10 cups a day of veg impact someone with PCOS?
Okay, so I love this question. It will kind of depend on your specific situation and like what your symptoms of PCOS are, but I'll just give you some different angles on it. And of course, I just want to note that diet is one part of the bigger picture, okay? Diet is sort of like the foundation of any health challenges, to make those dietary changes in accordance with your health condition. And then you may need to add supplements on that. You may need to have medications, but like definitely diet is like one of the fundamentals. So for PCOS, there are some things at play. If you're someone who's overweight, that usually goes hand in hand with having some sort of insulin resistance and not being able to process glucose correctly. And losing weight can actually have a big impact on reducing the inflammation and improving your glucose tolerance. So that's important. Eating lots and lots of veggies, like I also mentioned, that they help the body to detox. So one of the things that's often happening when there is PCOS or a different hormone imbalance is that certain hormones are in excess. And so when you're eating lots of vegetables and lots of different bright colors, this is one part of how the body helps to detox. It happens in the liver. And all these bright colors help to get rid of those excess hormones. So that's actually really important. As well. And then eating a blood sugar balancing diet is basically important for anybody with any hormonal imbalance. So that means in this particular case, like adding lots and lots more veggies in, getting on all the processed foods, processed carbs, and then having your bit of protein and healthy oils or fats to balance it out and to get your blood sugars in balance. That's also going to impact your insulin resistance. It's going to impact all your hormone balance. So those are just like a few things that would help.
Amazing. Okay, so I think the next question basically you just answered as well, which is, can changing my diet help with hormonal imbalance?
Yeah.
Is there anything you want to add to that? If yes, what kind of diet should I be doing? It sounds like
so it's along the same lines, and again, this is sort of a generalized approach. But obviously, when I work one-on-one with clients, I look at their whole history, their specific issues, if they have done blood work, and which hormones are out of balance. Like I can be much more focused and targeted, and then beyond just introducing lots of veggies and helping to detox the extra hormones. There are also certain foods that are specifically good for specific conditions that I could give like better advice on.
Okay. So one more question, because it's it's getting a little bit long, so we're going to wrap it up. Since I started this lifestyle, I've been going to the bathroom 2 to 4 times a day.
Yes.
Why is that? And the girl has also been sweating, and her period has started while breastfeeding. So,
yes. So at first I looked at this and I was like, I don't know, like a few things going on. But then it kind of hit me that it really sounds like what's happening is that this change was like a major shock to the body, and the body is detoxing itself.
Yes,
that is what is happening, because first, she said that sweating, for instance, so skin is one of the detox pathways. When we sweat, we remove toxins from the body. So she's like sweating profusely. Okay, that seems to be like a detox pathway that's happening. What else did she say? She said she got her period back.
Yes.
I don't know how old her child is, but regardless, there seems to be like the hormones were still trying to balance out, and all of a sudden she's eating much more vegetables. And again, the detox is happening. All different vegetables helping to maybe eliminate extra hormones and getting things back in balance. And then going to the bathroom a lot, pooping, well, all the fiber is helping to, eliminate things. Yeah. And again, that is also a pathway of elimination by going
when
to
I go to the bathroom like 2 or 3 times a day, I'm like, that's a win. Like,
I'm the same. So it definitely sounds like this had a major impact on this person, and that like their body is literally just in this like detox process of getting rid of all the bad stuff in the body. The one thing to note about going to the bathroom so much, though, is that if I can see like if you've changed your lifestyle dramatically and you were not eating like any vegetables before and now you're eating tons, you might be getting like stomach aches and it might be uncomfortable. And I don't know if that's necessarily good, like, because your body's getting used to it.
Right.
So I can just say, like, if all this extra fiber suddenly is like causing you to run to the bathroom a lot and have stomach aches, and it's you may want to cook your vegetables a little bit, because obviously the fibers are more intact when they're fresh.
Right.
And so if you're having like a bad reaction to a lot of fresh vegetables, just like lightly saute them or roast them or cook them.
Interesting. Okay.
To kind of reduce that.
That's really good to know.
Yeah.
Amazing. Okay. So listen, we're going to wrap it up. Tell us, Ilana, how, anybody who wants to reach out to you for nutritional advice, how they can reach you. What's your website? What's the best way to reach you?
Okay, so I've got Instagram and Facebook at Ilana Hart Nutrition. So I'm posting updates on there. And I've also got a website, ilanahart.com. So you can find me over there as well. And I'm giving out different tips on women's health, specifically focused on pre and postnatal. But I do address, all stages of the female life cycle. And I've got, wellness tips, health tips, recipes, etc. So yeah, you can follow me there.
Amazing. So everybody who ever needs nutritional advice, please contact Ilana. She is available to everybody. So remember a few things before we go. We will be sending out an invitation for a Sex Up Your Veg rooftop party, which if you watched the last video, Judith will be there to answer your questions about how she lost 5.5 kilos in 4 weeks, and Ilana is going to be there as well. And feel free to ask her any of your nutritional questions. On Tuesday, we're going live with Lily Aronin, who is a nutritionist and a weight loss coach, and she's going to share with us her weight loss journey using the power of veggies to restore her body to its natural weight. So stay tuned for that. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you again very soon. Bye, ladies.